Hi, New School Elementary School families. This video is to share a little bit about the data reports, the assessment reports that we'll be sending home with your students in advance of conferences. At New School, we believe that assessments are important, that they don't tell us everything about a student by any stretch, but that they do tell us something. The assessments that we give help us improve our teaching because they give us information about what students need. They hold us accountable for doing right by your students and identifying when your student needs something different. And we believe that we should share that information with you so that you can support your students' learning at home and learn more about how they're doing at school. I'm specifically going to share about two assessments. One is MAP and the other is AMIRA. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. So this is a sample MAP family report. MAP is a nationally normed assessment, which means that thousands and thousands of students take it all over the country, and each student's performance gets compared to other students all around the country. Students at New School take MAP in math, in reading, and in grades 2 through 5, they also take it in language, which covers things like grammar and writing mechanics. What you'll see in the report that you get home for each subject are these two areas, average achievement and then growth. When it comes to average achievement, our goal is for all students to be at the 50th percentile or higher. If you've been at New School, you might recall that in the past we were focused on the 40th percentile. We've done more research and learned that 50th percentile is a better predictor of long-term student success. So we're focused on the 50th percentile. Note that this is a percentile, not a percent, which means that this is the number that compares what percent of students across the country your student did better than. So you can see here in the example, this student's in the 60th percentile. That means they performed better than 60% of their peers. The other graph here, the other information is about growth. Now, if we take a look at this achievement graph from, in this case, in the sample, fall 2017 to spring 2018, we see they went from 223 to 236. Looks like they went up a good amount. So when we look over here at the growth side, we see that indeed this student is at the 86th percentile for growth, which means that they grew more, they made more progress than 86% of their peers nationally who started at that same starting point. Now, whereas for achievement, we want all students to be at the 50th percentile or higher, we expect to see a lot more variation when it comes to growth. Now, in the fall, in the data reports that we're about to share, we don't expect any growth from last spring to this fall. In fact, it's common to see students slip because they took a break over the summer, turned their brains off a little bit. So if this fall you see low growth, that is nothing to worry about. We're really going to be interested in how much they grow from fall to winter and then winter to spring. But for the fall, we're not particularly focused on growth. Now, later down the road, when we are looking at growth, we're particularly looking at growth for any student who is behind. It's extra important that they be growing a ton in order to catch up to be on grade level. If a student is already on grade level or above, of course, we want those students growing too, but it's not uncommon or worrisome to see lower growth for students who are more advanced. So this is the family report that you'll receive. Now, teachers also have access to a different kind of report from MAP that looks like this sample student profile here. And in these reports, teachers can see within a given subject all the specific skills that this student is ready to learn based on their scores. So in this sample, we're looking at geometry for a specific student, and you can see they're ready to work with area of rectangles, for example, and perimeter rectangles. So this is something, again, that teachers have, and you should feel free in your conferences to ask questions about specific skills, or even ask teachers to show you or share more of this kind of report, so that you can better understand some of the detail behind a student score. We don't print these. You can see this is a report, I believe, for one student, and it's 46 pages long. But we do use these as an instructional tool to help us, and are happy to share information with you about them. So that is MAP. The second assessment I'm going to tell you about is AMIRA. AMIRA, I'm going to stop my share here for a second, is a new assessment for us this year. And in this assessment, students actually read aloud into a microphone, and AMIRA uses AI to listen to that student read. It records them, and then teachers can also listen to those student recordings and observe the student themselves. So unlike MAP, where students are maybe reading and answering, reading passages and answering questions about them, AMIRA actually looks at student reading behaviors. Which words did they read aloud correctly? Which words did they skip? That kind of thing. And then AMIRA, based on those student recordings, actually tutors students, it assigns them lessons, it listens to them live on an ongoing basis, and adjusts based on how the student is doing. So it's pretty cool. So let me show you the AMIRA report you can expect. Here we go. All right. So this is an AMIRA report for a first grader. And the first thing you'll see on the AMIRA report is called an ARM score, an AMIRA Reading Mastery Score. The first number to the left of the decimal point is the grade level of the student. This is a first grade student. They're reading at a first grade level. The 4-3 here, excuse me, indicates the 4th month of the school year. They're reading at about almost 1.5 years, or first grade plus a half a year, if that makes sense. You can see here as well, it compares them to other students. The student scored better than 64% of other students, and they're solidly in this green color here. They are on track. Now, what's cool about AMIRA is it also gives us this further delineation in the parent report of where the student specifically within their reading is performing higher, or maybe needs a little more support. So we could see for this student, for example, on track across the board, but high frequency words is an area to focus on. And then the report will also include tips for helping your student. So for example, this student can practice the I blank E combination. That's something that parents can do at home to help the student. Excuse me. So what if the reports that you get say 2 different things for MAP and for AMIRA? Now, typically we would expect some correlation between the two, but like I said, they do measure some different things, given that AMIRA listens to students read aloud. So if they are a bit different, it's definitely something to ask your teacher about. It might just be that they're measuring slightly different things, or there might be something else going on. Like I said, we believe that assessments measure some things, but not everything. So your teacher will share more based on what they've observed in class, that can help give more color to the assessment reports that you receive. We know these reports can be technical, so if you have questions, we invite you to join us for office hours virtually on October 18th at noon and October 21st at 5:30. We'll do our best to answer any questions about about our data or assessments that you might have. If you have questions about your students specifically and how they're doing in class, please, of course, bring those to conferences. But we're happy to answer questions about the assessments themselves or the data reports. Thank you so much. We're excited to partner with you in an ongoing way on your students' learning, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.